Hi everyone, welcome to the very first live birth chart reading in the Prism Lighthouse Spiritual Social Network. My name is Amanda and my website's astrologyroots.com. I'm the leader of astrology in the Spiritual Social Network and super excited to be doing these live birth chart readings, hopefully every single week in the Spiritual Social Network. So definitely come join us if you want to observe and learn astrology or get your birth chart read at some point. And today we are reading Alex's birth chart. Um, so how it's going to go is 30 minutes of me channeling Alex's birth chart and just giving as much information as comes through in her chart. And then we're going to have 15 minutes afterwards for Alex to ask any questions about her birth chart. And for anyone else in attendance today, Ali is with us as well. For anyone else to ask questions as well. So this can be a place to actually start learning how to read birth charts as well and to understand deeper the information that I am channeling. So thank you both for being here today, and I look forward to doing this often. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see Alex's birth chart. All right. I'm just unmuting you for a sec, Alex. Can you see everything? You can see
I can, yeah.
Excellent. Great. So where I usually start is the Ascendant. So the first house, because that's kind of where everything begins. It kind of represents our upbringing, our childhood, what we've like how we've learned to be in the world and what we're sort of projecting out. So that's why the Ascendant is known to be your first impressions and kind of your outward personality. It's what other people first pick up on. But that's also because it's what we are striving to become in this world. It's what we're like the energy that we're like rising into and becoming. It's also on that same note, it's like also like our first defense too. Like when we meet someone and we're trying to give off a certain impression, or say if we're in an argument or something is challenging us, we'll kind of step into our rising sign. And so you have so much Scorpio energy. And as we get older, we tend to become more of our rising signs as well. So you're kind of becoming more of a Scorpio as you progress through life. It's how other people perceive you. So sometimes you can be maybe a little bit intimidating right off the bat. A little bit like Scorpios do that. They naturally tend to kind of incite fear a little bit. And I know that sounds bad, but it's all from this. They're just so powerful and they're so intelligent and psychically in tune with people. They just kind of get people and see them, and so other people are kind of intimidated by that. I think, especially with it being your rising sign, it's like, bam, here I am. So you have Pluto right on the Ascendant as well. Pluto retrograde. Pluto rules Scorpio as well, so that's like extra Scorpio energy. Pluto is the planet of where we find our inner power. Like it represents where in life we kind of have to go through these deep transformations and basically have a death of sorts, in order to be reborn and really discover our inner power. So you're like projecting out this power. Like you just have so much deep magic and power that like other people are instantly see and who are either drawn to it or not. Like, you know, so that's one bonus of being a Scorpio rising with Pluto is like you're people are either going to like you or they're not, and you're going to have a really great effect on people regardless with all that power. Mhm. And then you, in your first house in Scorpio as well, you also have Black Moon Lilith, which is a an asteroid that represents where we've been suppressed in life and where we will rise up and reclaim that divine feminine power. You have this right in your first house. So it's like really a part of who you are, your personality, your desires in this lifetime. It's wow, like not only Pluto and Scorpio having to sort of go through these transformations like on a really personal level all the time, probably in every interaction, every relationship. It's like, whoa, so much to surrender, which gives you your power, right? But with Black Moon Lilith there too, it's like this is yeah, just really a part of your kind of like purpose and like your really core part of your personality is like this kind of resurrection energy uh and just like this divine feminine power, like this real deep feminine power. Wow, it's pretty amazing. And also like uh so also like just because it represents where you've been suppressed and where you will rise up, it's also like in your like growing up, like in general, like in your childhood in general, like could have been um faced with like just so much challenge, and it's like who you are, like a real core part of who you are, your personality on a very basic level is like rising up from this challenge and owning your power. It's just like incredible. Um, so as you can see here, a very big theme in your chart is all of these oppositions between your second house and your eighth house. So you can see like all of these red lines. So in astrology, typically the blue lines are more harmonious aspects, either trines or sextiles, and the red lines are more disharmonious aspects, squares or oppositions. Um, there are more aspects too, but those ones are the very basic ones that I look at in the birth chart. But the thing is, with harmonious aspects and disharmonious aspects, um, you like your birth chart is totally what you make of it, right? Like people who have more challenging aspects in their charts often end up being the most successful people. Or when you look at the birth charts of very like successful people who've achieved a lot, they have the most challenging birth charts, right? Full of all these red lines. Where on the other hand, though someone with a lot of blue lines and a lot of gifts and easy energy, sometimes they rise to success as well, but often they become complacent and they don't really do anything with those gifts, right? So it's totally what you make of it. So I always just like to encourage people with a lot of challenge in their birth charts and a lot of challenge in their life that it's totally what you make of it. And at any moment you have choice. And also, like once these challenges are sort of like balanced out, then they actually become like either side of the coin, like either side of the energy of this dynamic becomes even more powerful because you've had to go through the process of balancing these things out. All right, so back to your chart. You have yeah, like your sun, moon, Chiron and Jupiter all in the sign of Cancer in the eighth house, opposing these bigger planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn in Capricorn in the second house. So first, I'll look at each individual element before kind of looking at the opposition and what it represents. So, with everything I said about all of your Scorpio energy, wow, so much power, so much intelligence and depth to you, and that kind of like fear, that other people might kind of experience at first. But you have so much Cancer. You're like, your sun and your moon are conjunct in the sign of in the early degrees of Cancer, and Cancers are super sweet, super loving, nurturing, sensitive, right? Um, they have great power as well. They're also known to be very kind of magical, psychic, healer energy that you can really tap into because it's like the sign of the divine mother. Um, so wow, so you have real like a lot of potential in your chart for just this like real deep magic, like being a healer of some kind as well, because Capricorns are also very deep and mystical as well. Um, and so in the eighth house, that's like, like expressing yourself through the eighth house is interesting. It also rules Scorpio. So it just adds more to this like deep transformational power that you have within you, but also this need, like to be able to access this deep power that you have to surrender. And that's like the key of Scorpio, eighth house. Um, it's so hard, but pretty much in every single moment, like being a Scorpio, like surrendering attachment, surrendering whatever it is you need to surrender, that is what's going to allow you to experience the power of Scorpio and eighth house. So it's not easy, but I'd say like just with having so much eighth house, second house, that's something to really like take on as like a mission in life is to like learn to surrender attachment because second house is uh related to like Taurus as well, which both of these signs, Taurus and Scorpio, they're fixed. They are, Taurus is all about, and second house is all about, I have like my things, my, what do I have around me that makes me feel secure? And then eighth house in Scorpio is like, I possess, I have power over this thing and I want this thing. They both have this like real strong desire and fixed energy. So, you know, not easy, but surrendering is like, ooh, just there's so much power in that, right? And then so you have like also Jupiter in Cancer, another, and in the eighth house is also healing. Like it's traditionally like the house of like medicine and healing. And Scorpios, they're natural healers as well. So you have like with Jupiter there, Jupiter represents your career, or can, your like expansion, abundance, your learning and teaching aspect. And in the sign of Cancer, it's like totally like, or also like, being a mother, being a psychic, being a healer, the healing arts, like that's just really what I see there. Also with Chiron conjunct. Wow. So Chiron is an asteroid that represents the wounded healer and the healer of all wounds. It shows us like our kind of primal wound that we've experienced in this life, that that's we've been given as a challenge to heal, and then we become a teacher of that thing or like a healer of whatever it is. So it could also be mother stuff, like mother issues, which could also manifest as like the mother within yourself, how you nurture and take care of yourself. Big theme in your life. Also, as a Cancer, the early degrees of Cancer as well, like um, having to learn how to nurture yourself is super important because, uh, you know, it's pretty, like a lot of us know this about Cancers, not to judge because everyone's different, but they can be very emotionally sensitive, needy, take things personally really easily. And so, especially at the first degrees there, it's like you're kind of just learning how to be a Cancer, how to really like be emotional, be sensitive, and to, Cancer being a cardinal sign as well is a natural leader. So, but once they master their emotions, so that's super important. Yeah, but then with Jupiter and Chiron there, it's also like Jupiter like expands everything it touches, and Chiron is such a powerful, has such a powerful influence in our charts as well. So Jupiter kind of like expands this need to heal how you nurture yourself, how you deal with your emotions, etc. Um, okay, so all of these planets are in opposition to Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, retrograde in Capricorn. Um, Ali and I were just talking about retrograde and direct last night on our call about Aries. Um, and so the thing is with retrograde planets in your chart, it's not a bad thing. Like a lot of people like interpret retrograde as like, oh no, everything's gonna go wrong, right? But it's like it kind of it can be kind of a nice like slower pace to all the direct planets in your chart. Sends the energy a little bit more inwardly focused. It kind of maybe makes things happen a little bit more slowly in your life as well. So like whatever challenges you faced. I would get in the area of security, like it could be like financial insecurity growing up, or insecurity in not necessarily the home, but like your resources, feeling secure. Like even like the health of your physical body um, could have like faced kind of unexpected sudden shakeups, or like I said, finances, having enough food in your home, like this kind of thing, which would also add to the whole like dynamic of second and eighth house needing to release attachment out, because if you face these kinds of challenges, then it'll be natural to want to cling to those things and to want to create a sense of security in your life, right? So, and then like Capricorn also rules like banks, financial systems, political systems as well. So it could have also been like a challenge in the area of authority. Um, so Uranus represents, it rules the sign of Aquarius. It's very like eccentric. It rules where we are eccentric, where we are like a unique individual, right? With it being retrograde, it's more like this inner experience. So this inner experience of maybe feeling like your home or your body or your resources, your sense of security is a little bit different than others. Um, Also that also it represents unexpected sudden changes. So like I mentioned, like not having a really like stable, secure like upbringing, and that kind of really causing like kind of sudden changes and a need to uh, do things differently and change like how you do things in that area for yourself. Um, we have Neptune there as well, really just kind of deepening this area of life and making it a little bit more um, mysterious. It's also, Neptune also represents, along with the 12th house, represents our like infinite creative potential and our connection to kind of the spirit world and like our infinite potential. So it's like um, and on the 13th degree, like that's like a divine feminine number as well. So in your second, so it just kind of like, because it's almost conjunct with this Uranus, not quite, but they're super close. So the energy is kind of feeding off each other a little bit. So creating this kind of mystery to like these experiences that you've had, these challenges that you face, kind of this Neptune is like kind of uncertain because it's like I said, it's like infinite creative potential, the spirit world, the dream world. So because it's like it's such a beautiful energy, it's also like unreality, like surrealism. So kind of feeling like a sense of like not really knowing exactly um uh like what it is that you're working on or what it is that these um challenges were that you faced, if that makes sense. We can clarify this later in the questions section because, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm really like saying it right, which is so funny because it's Neptune that we're talking about, and that's like exactly the energy of Neptune. And then, of course, we have Saturn retrograde as well in the second house. So Saturn literally represents our challenges that been that we've created for ourselves to climb in this lifetime. Because the birth chart, you know, it's like you chose everything. Like you chose this when you came into this world, right? Um, so so Saturn represents like our greatest challenges, our greatest rewards, right? When we climb these mountains, make it to the top of these mountains, you know, we achieve these great rewards from it. So yeah, like, you know, it's still in the second house, um, security, a sense of groundedness in what you have, and, you know, probably building up your own resources and your own sense of security and finances is also going to be very important to you. So kind of balancing that out with, um, resources with others as well. So it could be something to do with like marriage and divorce because that's like eighth house as well. And you know, or resources like working along with institutions and banks or businesses. Like this is all eighth house taxes. So yeah, kind of facing a lot in these areas. And I just want to acknowledge that it's so funny that this is like the first live chart reading I'm doing because it's so deep. Like there's nothing superficial about eighth house, Scorpio. Like all of these dynamics we're looking at is like pretty intense stuff, you know? And like, but this is like the life that you chose and uh mountains that you've set to climb for yourself. And like I truly believe like I said in the beginning, like all these challenges, all these oppositions is like uh just setting you up for like greater success because you know the more you overcome, the more powerful, the more wisdom you'll have, right? Mm-hmm. I also just wanted to say about oppositions and squares. Like squares create. So now we'll talk about Mars and Aries, right? So um, squares are like they create tension between two planets. It's like tension, challenges that you kind of overcome and then it really creates a lot of power like between those two things when you balance out that energy or when you learn the lesson. Oppositions are, I mean, same thing, there's great potential there, even greater potential because they're kind of more at odds with each other, but the difference is like where squares are like a energy of tension between the two. Oppositions are like two opposing forces. It's more like events that happen in your life that like uh you know like I can't do this because of this thing that happened. Like it's very like it's actually more like two opposing forces. It's like a little bit more tricky to balance out, I guess. Um so I just wanted to like throw out that like distinction there. They have a different energy to them, but just like any challenge in life, you know, you overcome it, you become stronger, etc. Okay, So you asked about Aries and Cancer, and so what I see here for you is you actually give me like something to go and study. I don't know a lot about like compatibility between all the signs. So that's something that you kind of brought up that I was like, oh, like what is the compatibility between Aries and Cancer? Maybe you know, I'm not 100% sure on that. But in your chart, it's funny you bring it up because you do have a lot of squares with your Mars in Aries. So Mars in Aries is a great place for Mars to be. It's in its home. Um, it's like you have a lot of uh, though with all of these squares, like you might not have a lot of energy all the time. That would be challenged, right? But mm, Mars and Aries on its own, so like you have a lot of energy, drive, fire to get things done, especially in the area of like creativity, your joy, like you're like seeking to express your joy, your passion, your creativity. Um, Also in the area of like the fifth house is also procreation and children as well. So a lot of uh, it brings a lot of energy to this area. So like working with kids or like just being kind of childlike and playful yourself might be a draw for you. Having kids, you know, might like bring you a lot of energy. It is definitely challenged, right? Like it's your Mars is squaring with again like all of these big planets in the second house. Um so you know maintaining your energy could be a challenge, and then also it's also squaring with your Jupiter and Chiron there as well, so it's almost like you're like fiery energy with the tendency sometimes to get, because Mars and Aries would tend to get like burned out sometimes or like agitated, right? It's like fire on fire. So it's like, you know, that's kind of the possibility or tendency that could happen. So learning to like um, uh, balance that out and kind of like be calm, like stress relief, you know, like and because like you know when Mars is in its element, it's like you don't really have to try that hard. It's just like fire on fire is happening. So like you know allow your energy to be what it is. You don't need to try too hard, but it is um, you know definitely being challenged. But like I said about squares earlier, like learning to just balance that energy out for yourself is like not only going to assist you in your healing, you know, but just give you so much more potential and so much more fire to tap into when it comes to expressing your creative gifts as well. And so let's move up to, oh, so I was just going to say too, like when you notice things in the sign of Aries, it might be sort of agitating, like these squares. So you might be experiencing some of that, like for you personally, because you do have a lot of energy um, on this Mars Aries placement. So just an idea, and then I'm going to go and start looking up like compatibility because I think that's like, yeah, really cool. So thanks for also asking the question and bringing that up. And I was saying to Ali last night too, like that's why I love astrology and I love studying it because it's never ending learning, right? Um, so let's move up to the seventh house. This is another really strong house for you. You have Venus there. Venus is lovely, brings a sense of Taurus. There's Taurus again, you know, second house Taurus. So uh, okay, but this time it's very well aspected. So Venus brings like a sense of love and abundance and joy wherever it is. So getting a lot of like abundance and joy from partnership, relationship. Um, it can also kind of highlight this sense of uh, justice and cooperation and the sense of like beauty and everything that is Libra, which is the seventh house, but it kind of rules our yeah, like how we partner with others. It can be romantic partnership, but also all kinds of partnership, friendship, relationship. In Taurus, you can like Venus is in its element in the sign of Taurus, so that's cool. So your Mars and your Venus are like both in their element. That's like your masculine and feminine energy. Like I mentioned with Mars, like it's like doubling up on that energy. So it's good that it's in its home, but then the possibility of being, say, in Taurus, being too okay. So it's like let's look at the good parts of it first, right? So being very like um romantic, right? Like having this like beautiful romantic loves beauty and pleasure and the simple delights of life, um, you know, all of those good things, chocolate and wine, going on dates and whatever, having a romantic time. Also being focused on like financial security as well, and like you know you being secure within yourself, focusing on the things that you have. Do I have good quality clothing? You know, this kind of stuff. The downside is like you know being too attached, right? So um, Venus and Taurus attached to our relationships, right? And then we're almost out of time, so I'll just also touch on but yeah, it's like you get a real sense of like abundance and joy from your relationships. And then you also have Pallas Athena, which is another asteroid, um, in conjunct with Mercury. So it's like courageous communication is what I see there. Like really like powerful. You have a real gift of communication. Your through words, writing, also like your thought process, being able to really like think outside the box. Um, and like Pallas Athena shows us where our courage lies as well. So this is a real gift for you. Like your seventh house is a really powerful house for you. That's like kind of where your gift, like you know, it's like there's all this other kind of like challenging areas and stuff, and then we have like your seventh house is like whew, easy breezy. Like you know, you can really like lean on your relationships and your ability to speak clearly, create what you want in that area, partner with other people, um, and what have you. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there and okay, I'll just stop sharing. All right, okay. I muted this. Do I have to unmute you or okay, I'm gonna unmute both of you. Okay, so there we go. There's my like 30 minutes of channeling, which I'm thinking I might actually reduce to like 20 minutes or something because when no one else is talking, there's just like I can just get through the whole chart, right? So it's like, you know, anyway, we'll see. Yeah, what did you think? Was it accurate? Was it like surprising?
Very, very validating. This is, you know, these are things that I have definitely learned about and known to degrees. And then this is just kind of building upon that knowledge. You know, big part of, I've been super engaged and interested in astrology for the exact reason that it's, you know, something that I can constantly learn from. And so, yeah, you've given me an immense amount of validation, and then also like just things that I needed to be reminded of. And kind of one of the questions that I had about like the actual chart itself is there were a couple of green lines and one being like a dotted green line. I just don't know how to interpret that, and would just love kind of your feedback just on kind of what that means at a general level, because I'm definitely someone that understands my chart to a pretty good degree, but I love hearing other people's interpretation.
Oh, okay. So yeah, those are like more minor aspects. They also represent challenging aspects as well. Like
Okay.
they're not, yeah. That's all I know. I actually I'll just take them off. I need to just go in the settings and change that because I don't know much about them.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, but I do know they are as well more challenging ones.
Cool. No, that works for me. And it's funny, I actually had written down like a question and then you answered it as you continued reading. So basically I was like, how do I work with such deep power in your like surrender? And I was like, of course, that is the one thing that I struggle to do.
Yeah, and that's why I'm laughing when I'm saying that about like surrendering and letting go of attachment because I have like a lot of my oppositions are in the second and eighth house as well. I have like the same thing, and I'm like, it's what I'm working on. And I loved when I was learning about Scorpio, about how because they're known to be kind of like possessive and they want to like have control, and so the key is to surrender. And it made so much sense to me that when Scorpio taps into their um that like surrender and they do that, like pretty much all like that's actually what gives them their power. That's why they're so powerful. But they have so Scorpios do not have an easy job. They're
Right.
like, it's like really like they're yeah, like almost given the most challenging like yeah work to do, out of all the signs really. Yeah, but that's what gives them, they're also one of the most, along with I mean everyone's charts are so different, it's not like you can really uh generalize this much, but I've heard before that Scorpios and Aquarians are the two most intelligent signs of the zodiac. And it does make sense to me, like Scorpio being like this fixed water energy. They're just so deep, so psychic, and so. But yeah, it's like, how do you get that level of power and intelligence? It's not easy, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And yeah,
Second house too. Yeah,
that's perfect.
letting go, surrendering, attachment.
And I was going to say, just to like expand on that question that I had asked, and I'll kind of give you my interpretation of that Mars and Cancer relationship. So my interpretation is that Mars really is a direct energy, and they want to go just forward, whereas Cancer is more of a rise and fall with the tides. And so I actually had this conversation with Ali this morning, and it's this surfer analogy, being out in the ocean and waiting for the right wave to ride, and that there can that burnout and that excess of energy in those Aries placements for me can come in wanting to ride every wave when maybe that's not necessary. So that level of discernment, to be able to kind of temper and balance some of that squared energy, I think is probably where I can start to welcome tension and opposition, because that's then I think the invitation to surrender.
Very cool. You just kind of answered your own question there.
I love that. Thank you.
And then I'm curious too about them both being cardinal signs as well. Is that kind of
yeah, it would be like the initiator. Like, if I'm feeling tension, it's because I'm wanting others to kind of instigate for me, when this is sometimes the tough love reminder that if I'm waiting for other people, I'm going to be waiting forever. So I just need to really take the reins, as they would say, and just ride it to my own intention, to the beat of my own drum. And I think that there is probably a strong correlation there to Aquarius being my North Node as well.
We didn't even touch on North Node. I saw that at the very end and was like, I love talking about the North and South Node too.
You can touch on it on the next one. You can start on the end next time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Switch it up.
I make like a commentary of something I noticed. I don't want to run you over time, so I'll keep it quick, but I found it interesting how we often think about compatibility as in like romantic relationships, but looking at it as Alex and my friendship, I can see how she's such the yin to my yang. Like I am fire, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, and you're water and earth. And I can see how we're so compatible because we're both open to that duality. So we kind of, you ground me and I give you energy, you know? So I just find it interesting to do like friendship first chart readings. Like that'd be super
Absolutely. Cool. And I think that that's actually really powerful in a business partnership space as well. Like knowing who to partner with, because I'll back it up and just say, like, we do live culturally in a society that emphasizes significance in romantic relationships, and especially that idea of a marriage contract, that's, you know, a financial contract that, you know, I've committed to you and that I will take care of you financially. And then, you know, the emotional stability pieces, they come with it to the degree that you're capable of. But I believe that there's a really strong opportunity to expand that conversation and say, what are other contracts that you have with people that aren't in romantic relationships, and how do you bring the elements of romance, like going on dates with your girlfriends or, you know, just platonic friendships, you know, how do you bring romance into that as well? Because I don't think it's exclusive to romantic partnerships.
I think so too.
beautiful.
That's such a classic Venus Taurus thing to say, because, you know, you're like naturally going to be more like romantic, and why not? I think so too. Especially as someone who's like newly single as well. I'm like learning how to like, like how can we bring romance into every interaction, especially with ourselves and with our friends? Like, absolutely. And then I also want to say too, to that point about like in astrology as well, like opposites totally attract. The opposite signs, opposite energy, we totally like balance each other out. So it makes sense. And then you guys, I mean, you know, you probably have some aspects that match up as well. Like, you know, because opposites attract, but then also like being on the same page is also helpful. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and because we're similar age, we're like only 6 months apart. We have like our North and South nodes, our Chiron, our Saturn, our Neptune, our Uranus, those are all the same. So those like really deep ones we're on the same page with.
It's like same mission, same life purpose kind of thing, kind of like a
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, how about I do your chart next, Ali, and then I can also like Alex will be fresh in my mind too, so you can see some connections maybe.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, and I started timing like after we started, and then I hit the timer, so I kind of like went over. Yeah, we're like 5 minutes over the 45-minute session, but I kind of started timing like when I was into it, so. We'll work out these little technical kinks as we go along, but
you can always change it as you go. Find what works for you.
Yep. Feminine flow.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, this is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Amanda, thank you. Like, I mean, I really value these as sacred gifts. And so I'm just so grateful that you are just so willing to share that with me and to show up fully in service of that gift. I think that's just really beautiful, and I'm very appreciative. So
100%. Yeah, you're welcome. It is my gift, and like definitely looking to do more readings, build my business, but I just want to do astrology. So I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna like start doing these little sessions, I can just giving the gift away. At least I'm doing astrology. That's what I want to do. But if you liked it, if you're on Instagram, I'd love it if you tag me in a post and like, you know, a little blurb or something if you liked it, because I'm trying to get more readings, build my business. So
absolutely. Yeah, the social media presence is I think in that depth of Scorpio, I can sometimes actually fear my own mirror. And I've had kind of a traditional struggle of feeling seen. But that's what's changing. And I'm working with it a lot more. So I actually will take this as a really beautiful encouragement to be more socially present, to promote, because I'm a huge promoter internally, but that only goes so far. So I'm definitely open to that for sure.
Yeah, own your powers, put it out there. Yeah. And yeah, and of course, like anyone watching, like definitely join the Spiritual Social Network as well. And I'll be doing these more often in here. Super stoked. It's like exclusive for the Spiritual Social Network, which is an awesome place to come and connect with other like-minded people and talk about all amazing things. Excited for it to like grow and for more people to come in and contribute. It's been really fun so far.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You guys make it what it is. If it wasn't you, I'd just be me talking. So
yeah,
add the flavor. You're the spices to my dish.
Thanks for providing the dish. It's awesome. Alrighty. Well, have a wonderful day, and I'll post the recording soon.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.